The biggest shock of my life came on an ordinary afternoon when a notification appeared on my phone. Access denied. I stared at the screen, confused. At first, I thought it was a technical error. I refreshed the page and logged in again. The same message appeared. Your inheritance account has been restricted by the primary trustee. My stomach dropped. The primary trustee was my mother. My hands went cold. My mother had blocked my access to the inheritance my grandfather had left for me. The fund everyone had always said would one day secure my future. Without warning, without explanation, I immediately called her. 1 ring, 2 rings, 3 rings. Finally, she answered. Mom, what's going on? Silence filled the line for a moment. Then she spoke in a calm, distant voice. What happened was necessary. You blocked my inheritance. Les. Why? Because I don't think you're ready to manage it. Anger exploded inside me. I'm 29 years old. Age and maturity aren't always the same thing. That's not your decision to make. It is while the trust is under my supervision. Before I could argue again, she ended the call. I stood frozen in my apartment. For years, our relationship had been strained. After my father died, she became more controlling. At least, that's how I saw it. She always had an opinion about my job, my friends, my relationships, my future, and now she had taken control of my inheritance too. That night, I barely slept. One question kept repeating in my mind. Had my mother finally become my enemy? The next morning, I contacted a lawyer. I expected a quick solution. Instead, after reviewing the trust documents, he sighed. Legally, she has the authority to place temporary restrictions on the account. What? The trust gives the trustee that power. I felt sick. Everything she had done was completely legal. There was nothing I could do. For the next 2 days, frustration consumed me. Then, on the third afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Hello. A professional male voice responded. Good afternoon. Am I speaking with Daniel? Yes. My name is Richard Hayes. I'm the manager of your family's trust fund. I sat upright immediately. In all these years, the trust manager had never contacted me directly. How can I help you? There was a pause. Then he said something unexpected. I'd like to meet with you privately. My heart skipped a beat. Did my mother ask you to call? No. His answer came instantly. This is my decision. The next day, we met in a quiet coffee shop. Richard looked to be in his 50s, neatly dressed, professional, but there was concern in his eyes. After a few minutes of small talk, he leaned forward. Your mother blocked your inheritance. I know, but you don't know the full story. My pulse quickened. What story? He opened his briefcase and placed a thick file on the table. Read it. I opened the folder. Medical bills, hospital records, insurance statements, treatment schedules, thousands upon thousands of dollars in expenses. I looked up at him. What is this? His voice softened. These are your mother's records. I felt the air leave my lungs. My mother is sick. Richard slowly nodded. She's been sick for 3 years. 3 years. The words echoed in my mind. 3 years. And I had never known. What does she have? Richard hesitated. Then he quietly answered. Heart failure. The world seemed to stop. My mother? The woman who always looked strong. The woman who never complained. The woman who carried everyone else's burdens. Heart failure. I couldn't process it. Why didn't she tell me? Because she didn't want you to know. But tears burned behind my eyes. Suddenly, memories flooded back. How exhausted she often looked. How she avoided long walks. How she stopped attending family gatherings. How she always smiled and insisted she was fine. The signs had been there all along. I had simply never noticed. Richard folded his hands. Your inheritance wasn't blocked because she wanted to hurt you. Then why? The trust needed to reserve funds for potential medical emergencies. I stared at him, but she told me I wasn't mature enough. A sad smile crossed his face. She was protecting you. Protecting me from what? The truth. I looked away. The realization was crushing. My mother had chosen to let me hate her rather than watch me worry. Richard continued. There's something else. I slowly looked back at him. Your mother only used the minimum amount necessary. What do you mean? She refinanced her house and took on personal debt before touching the trust. I felt tears sliding down my face. She had sacrificed her own financial security to preserve my future. And all this time, I had called her selfish, controlling, manipulative. The guilt was unbearable. That evening, I drove straight to her house. When she opened the door, she looked surprised. Daniel! For the first time, I truly looked at her. The tired eyes, the pale skin, the slight tremble in her hands, the exhaustion hidden behind a forced smile. Mom. My voice cracked. Immediately, she knew. Her shoulders slumped. Richard told you. I nodded. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she quietly sat down, as if she had been carrying a weight for years. I'm sorry. The words shocked me. Sorry. I should have told you. My eyes filled with tears. I thought you hated me. She looked up. Tears gathered in her eyes too. I could never hate you. The room blurred. I thought you were trying to take everything away from me. She shook her head. I was trying to make sure you still had a future after I was gone. That sentence shattered me. I sat beside her. For the first time in years, she reached for my hand, and together, we cried. The months that followed changed everything. I went with her to doctor's appointments. I helped organize her medications. I handled paperwork. I cooked meals. And slowly, I began to understand something I had never truly considered before. Parents aren't superheroes. They're people. They get scared. They get tired. They suffer. And sometimes they carry pain alone because they don't want their children to carry it too. One afternoon, while sitting outside a hospital, I asked her a question. What if Richard had never called me? She smiled sadly. Then you probably would have kept hating me. I would have. She squeezed my hand. That's okay. No, it's not. Yes, it is. She looked at me with gentle eyes. Because now you know the truth. Months later, after a difficult treatment journey, the doctors finally delivered good news. Her condition had stabilized. Recovery would take time. But there was hope. Then one morning I received another notification from the bank. Inheritance access restored. I stared at the screen. For years, I had imagined that moment. I thought I would feel relieved, excited, victorious. Instead, I simply locked my phone and walked into my mother's room. She was sitting by the window reading a book. Mom. She looked up. Yes. My inheritance account is active again. She smiled. That's good. I smiled back. Then I sat beside her and took her hand. You know something? What? I used to think that inheritance was the most valuable thing Grandpa left me. She tilted her head. And now? I squeezed her hand gently. Now I know it wasn't. A tear rolled down her cheek. What was? I looked into her eyes and answered softly. You. At that moment, I finally understood something important. Sometimes what feels like betrayal is actually sacrifice. Sometimes the person who seems to be hurting you is carrying a burden you cannot see. And sometimes a mother's greatest act of love is standing alone in the darkness so her child can continue walking toward the light.